All right, so this is part 2 of our Monza recap, and this is the bad that we saw in the Grand Prix. I'll start with an honorable mention to Nico Hulkenberg, who doesn't really deserve to be in this bad section because he had a retirement from a gear. I think it was a gearbox issue on the formation. Hydraulic issue. The reason I'm throwing him in here is because he's kind of disappeared in 4 races since his podium. He's not even qualifying in Q3. He's nowhere to be found. And I'm just going to throw him in as an honorable mention because it seems like he comes alive whenever I shit on him for years at a time. And Sauber needs him right now. Sauber needs him to get into 6th place at the expense of Aston Martin and Racing Bulls. Because if Hadjar gets that team to 6th, he's going to be in the Red Bull seat. And that's going to ruin his career. And if Aston Martin doesn't finish 6th and goes backwards, that's hilarious. So Nico, we need you. You've disappeared since your podium. I said don't do that. I said don't just let this be the last thing that was to check off in your career. All you did is finish on the podium once in 239 races. Get back out there and do more. You're last place again every race. You're not qualifying well anymore. What's that all about? I thought you were expert qualifier. You're not saying that was all bullshit to justify your inclusion in 2023, were you? Anyway, sorry. That's my honorable mention. My other bad was Lawson, which this will be brief, much like his career. It seems like every time he goes on a run and has some consistency, I think it was 3 races in a row at 8th place, he decides to show consistency in another way that he did last year, which is crashing into people for no reason.
Specifically people in the parent team.
Yeah. Not only did he ruin his race, he ruined Yuki's race. You're right. There's just not much more that this kid can do to impress me. This is why you don't value a random 10th place and a random point finish and call him the next Vettel. You need to see something more sometimes. You need to see some quality, solid racing, which I think he's only ever shown once. He's just too up and down. And I don't know. He has 8 races to really show us something, but I don't see it happening. And I think that should be it for his career, quite frankly.
I think he's done enough to justify staying where he is. He can get some points. He can put in a decent race here and there. I don't disagree with you, Nick. He's not what they made him out to be, and frankly never was. Mm-hmm. Another one of these guys that does really well in the junior formulas, does really well elsewhere, but just can't seem to hack it in F1. So I'd be fine if he stays at Racing Bulls and just kind of putters around there and gets him some points here and there. But if we start talking about the senior team again, no. We're just going to be repeating it. So let's not do that, please.
But his junior career wasn't that good. He had a really good Super Formula season. But this is something we talked about last episode with the team principals and the pack just undervaluing the winners of F2 and just seeing magic in drivers that don't really have it. Like, I don't think Lawson finished higher than 6th in F2. I don't think he won F3. What did they see in this guy? And the one who's touted to replace him, Arvid Lindblad, is sitting 7th in F2. I think he's won like 1 feature race and goes up to Lando Norris in his practice session and says, "See you in 5 years." What? Like, is Red Bull going to make the same mistake again? Probably.
Yep. Did you see Lindblad's performance this week in Monza?
Didn't he like crash out or crash into a bunch of people? I don't know. I don't really pay attention to him. I pay attention to the winners.
He ran to the back of, I think it was Dunn. Really amateur move, in the dirty wake of the car in front, and tried to hit his normal braking point and ran straight into the back of Dunn. For some reason, didn't realize that would have broken his wing, and his team didn't call him in. So on the restart, he had no front wing, and ended up plowing into the field in turn one because he had no downforce.
Wow.
And then turned around to blame the car that the brakes weren't working. No, the brakes worked, but they can't do that job because you don't have any load on the front wing. Because, spoiler alert, it broke when you hit done. Was not impressed with Lindblad this weekend.
So he blamed everybody else? That's a Red Bull driver right there. I'm all in. Whatever. Fornaroli's going to go back to back too, I think. He's about to do F3, F2 at back to back. His will be a little bit different because he didn't win a single race in F3. Wasn't a good look. But at least he's
But
winning.
when you've got 33 cars on the grid and barely a double, barely anybody who wins multiple F3 races, it's not the end. It's not necessarily unheard of.
Yeah. But I don't think he's going to be rated as highly because of it as, say, Bortoleto, as say Piastri or Bortoleto.
No, he won't be.
But we'll never hear of him again, even though he's just done it. We'll definitely hear about Lindblad. We'll probably hear about Dune a million times. We'll hear about Crawford, Browning. Anyway, they'll make the same mistake over and over again is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Do you have any bads, Sean?
Well, there's the McLaren bad that we should probably talk about.
Not again.
There's a Yuki bad, which really is just now we got to put him out of his misery.
Yeah.
We got to do something. Like, it's painful watching this, and he just wasn't there, and it wasn't working, and he's at the back fighting with Lawson, and I want to say Hajar put him out. There's a point around the pit stop window where he was battling with both racing bulls at the back of the pack. Like, I like Yuki, but this is why I say that Hajar should not be put up to the senior team yet, because that's what's going to happen to him next year if they do. So something's got to happen with Yuki soon, because it makes me, I don't even know what to say. It hurts me to watch him die a slow, terrible death this way.
This is how we felt about Ricardo and Perez last year, where we know something more is there, but it's just not happening, and the confidence keeps getting shot week after week, and they get more and more desperate.
Yeah.
It's sad. He should have just been promoted before the season. He should have gotten an opportunity to practice and get the testing with this car. It's not really fair what happened to him, but he hasn't made the most of it. This was his shot. This was his shot. This is what we talked about preseason. This was his shot. Didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sean, there is an open Alpine seat. Okay, never mind. That will be the end of his career. Yeah. Do you want to just get into the McLarens? I don't really want to.
I thought you were going to be all over this, Nick.
Did you hear that?
No.
That was the sound of me patting my back because I'm absolutely been nailing this all season. But yeah, how about you give your take on this first?
Just to set the scene, this was not for first place. This was not for 25 points. This was for second and third. Both cars would have been on the podium either way. And we end up with team orders to swap cars because a mechanic had an issue with a wheel nut. So Norris deserved the place that he was in. He drove well, really didn't make any real mistakes, let's say. Could Piastri have done better if he had been in second? Maybe. But he also didn't have a whole lot of pressure on Norris the entire race, right? The last section of that race, he closed the gap pretty well. And he was there, but realistically, I don't see that being any challenge for Norris. And we got the team radio that told us what they were doing, right? Lando, come in, we're going to do this, whatever. He goes, well, make sure I don't get undercut. Okay, yeah, you're right. We'll switch the cars. You stay out. Piastri comes in. Fine. Would have worked out beautifully if Darwin didn't rear his head. At the end of the day, you still have a mechanic who is a human putting on a wheel nut. And that wheel gun is a high-tech piece of equipment. So whether it was the mechanic who didn't hold it on there long enough, or if the gun had an issue, we don't know. I don't know, at least. But shit happens. We went motor racing. In no way is Oscar responsible for that fuck up. In no way is Norris responsible for that fuck up. It's just something that happened. That team order should never have come. Now, they played the Hungary card, which I thought was a little shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar's response, I think, was the best response he could have given in those circumstances. Basically, a coded version of, this is bullshit, we went racing, but did it anyway, right? To not have the stigma of, oh, Lando helped you out, and you're not going to help him out now, which I think is bullshit, but that's what would have hung over him, right? Oh, Lando gave him the spot in Hungary, right? It's horseshit. So I fought it all year, your conspiracy theory that they were favoring Lando, but now they've said it out loud.
Wow.
So, and again, this was not for first place. This was not for the win. Both of those drivers would have been on the podium anyway. We're talking about 3 points. They swapped drivers for 3 points. There was absolutely no reason to do that.
You're starting to get the feeling that McLaren prefers a world champion named Lando Norris. I didn't say that. Bernie Ecclestone did. Mr. Unfair. So yeah, you're in agreement that it was a bad call, and they almost, like, let's put it this way. Let's put it in a way where we can both agree on it. It seems like they're understanding that Oscar's going to win, but they want to give Lando every opportunity to win too, even if it means screwing Oscar over in the most ridiculous way possible. Not one person, not one commentator, not one spectator agrees with this call. I don't even think Lando agrees with this call, because he's looking so foolish now. You need that much help just to stay in this title fight for something that you said it perfectly. Oscar said it brilliantly. I thought we agreed this was part of racing, but okay, I'll do it. Yeah.
And this is something that they focused on in the F1 TV coverage. After that call to Piastri, Norris did not get back on the radio at all.
Wow. So he knew.
Yeah.
You want a conspiracy theory out of Nick? Was there a code word that Lando said throughout that race that maybe was a way of asking McLaren without asking McLaren? I wonder. I don't have any proof of that, but I wonder if he said something to Will Joseph at some point where they took it as, okay, we'll ask Oscar for you. But yeah, there's no proof for that, but why the hell would McLaren ask Oscar for that? We made a big deal about Oscar asking for fairness in Silverstone. Does everybody remember that when they all laughed it off at Oscar? They brushed him aside.
Penalty.
I understand. I'm just saying, but Oscar looked at it and said, that's an unfair penalty from my eyes. Do we want to be fair and go racing? They said no.
Yeah.
What was the difference here? Something happened. It's unfair, yeah, but there was an excellent interview in Monaco with the 4 Red Bull drivers, and this is right before Isaac had a good weekend. This was Isaac's first good weekend. And there was an interview where they're all talking, and Isaac's trying to keep up with Max in some stupid trivia game, and he goes, oh man, Max knows everything. He's been here so much longer. It's not fair. And Max looks at him, and you see in the interview, Max stops being funny and quirky and, like bubbly. And he looks at me and says, you know what, Isaac? Life's not fair. And Isaac shuts up. And Isaac goes on to have one of his best weekends. So even Isaac, a young rookie, realized he didn't have to be a baby all the time. But McLaren seems to think they need to baby Lando Norris every step of the way. And it's getting so pathetic to watch. And it's just like, you feel so sorry for him because he declared himself the winner preseason that you're going to help him in the most pathetic way possible. And you're going to reference Hungary. They're rewriting history by re-referencing Hungary. Oscar was the one who got screwed, almost. You almost screwed Oscar. You pitted Lando before even asking the lead racer, Oscar. And Lando had a fucking hissy fit on the radio for 20 laps. Does everybody not remember that? Yeah, sure. We'll now know that, he was completely fair at the end. He pulled over. He was a good team player. Yeah. After fucking making a mockery of himself for 30 minutes?
After the team had to beg him.
Yes. And
basically threaten him.
Yeah. And we now know so much more since that time. We found out at the end of the season, Oscar had a fucking separated shoulder during that race. When Lando says, make him catch up, and they said, Oscar can't. We now know that meant Oscar physically couldn't. You piece of shit, Lando.
Was it his shoulder, or was that when he had cracked ribs?
Oh, was it the cracked ribs? I thought it was the shoulder. I'm mixing up.
I don't remember a shoulder problem. But...
So, either way, he was injured.
Yeah.
So they're referencing Hungary in Monza, going, remember what you did, or Lando did for you, Oscar. Oscar could have gone on the radio and said, yeah, I remember pretty vividly. I remember what happened. I remember how you almost undercut me, my first win, with cracked ribs, with a severe injury. Probably shouldn't have been driving. They have gall to treat Oscar this way. Was it fucking fair when Oscar had his pole lap cut off because of a yellow flag at Austria? Did they slow down Lando then? No, he went on and set a lap record. The only time he can is when Oscar's off the track. Was it fair when Colapinto pulled over for Norris but not Piastri? Did they say to Lando, hey, let Oscar catch up. He was about to catch you anyway. No, that's racing. This was racing. It happens. So, like I said, I think it may not even be just a conspiracy. It may just be that Lando said, this is my year. I'm going to win it. I'll show you. And McLaren feels so sorry for him that they're doing shit like this to keep it as close as possible. Oscar can win only after Lando's been given every opportunity to win first, which is still fucking pathetic. But this is not even including my belief that something's going on behind the scenes between Brown and Stella, because Stella openly preseason said, I built this car around Oscar. I believe Oscar's the better driver. And we all know how Brown feels about Lando. That is just a conspiracy theory. But now there is something there. Now we've seen it blatantly. They have not been fair to Oscar all year while claiming they're fair, while claiming there's papaya rules. There's not. Oscar would have won Australia if they didn't slow him down. He would have had a 6-point swing in Japan. That wasn't fair. They made him slow down and stay behind Lando. Why didn't they do a swap then? We just know they're full of shit. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. We know they're full of shit when they say something like that. So whatever, you guys played your hand. You should go all in on Lando. I've been saying that all year. Just pick a fucking driver. I don't care. Just don't sit here and tell me you're being equal to both of them when you're clearly not. If you think Lando's the best bet for you to win the driver's titles, stand behind him. It's kind of weird that you rushed to sign Oscar Piastri, which is what I've been saying for 2 years. But I've just balanced it out throughout the year. I've talked it out throughout the year. If they just let Oscar fly, he'd be way ahead. He'd have a hand on the title already, instead of this PR disaster that they keep going through. Anyways, that's enough. I could yell it in the microphone for 20 minutes. So stop me, Sean.
Yeah, no, I think that about sums it up. So it was a shit decision that made absolutely no sense. And McLaren has kind of made a joke of themselves. I want to say the last time we saw something like that, and you'll probably correct me, is Schumacher and Barrichello.
At Austria 2001. Is that what you're thinking?
Right. Where Michael ended up pulling him up onto the top of the podium with him.
But you see, that's the other extreme. That's them picking one driver to the point where another driver can't win. This isn't that. This is the other side of that, where they're going, no, we're being completely fair, and then kneecapping someone at the last minute.
Right, and I think what you're saying is you want to see what Ferrari did there. Effectively, you want to see them make that choice of, this is Lando. We're going to stand behind Lando and nobody else. And they haven't, and that's what that's what you've been gunning for all week, or all year, sorry.
Yeah, they've been gaslighting us into thinking that they're this fair team, but when push comes to shove, they're not. That particular case in Austria, I would never. We thought as a family watching that was disgusting. And I don't even think Michael wanted to take that victory, quite frankly, but they essentially talked Michael into saying, we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the year. Take your wins when you can. And in hindsight, that looks stupid because that was one of the most dominant seasons Ferrari ever had. But I would rather them at the beginning of the year say that, this is our number one driver. He's going to win hell or high water. It seems it's less messy. As much as everybody used to shit on it, it's less messy than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. You and I are in agreement. Should we stop right there?
How are you doing with Jesus? Because I think we might be at the end of times.
I'm in a basement right now. I think that's a good allegory for what happens to me. Anyways. Any other bads?
I thought you said you weren't in a basement, though.
Oh, it was an undisclosed location. Shit. Might have to delete that. Well, I'm too lazy. Do you have any other bads?
Any other? I'll give an honorable mention to Antonelli. Looks, am I reading this correctly? Ended up with 2 points, but really just seemed to have a clumsy weekend. I don't know if it was the pressure of being at home again, whatever, being at Monza where he totally binned it last year. But yeah, maybe it's the nerves. Maybe it's the nerves of so many poor weekends back to back to back that now he's struggling to be up there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Russell didn't do much better, but he definitely did better. So
we talked about it a bit in the first part about Antonelli, but yeah, for his own team principal, for Wolf, who's his biggest backer, to say this was an underwhelming weekend it's not good. That's not a good thing to say. I know he still has his back and he says he's going to be my driver next year, but yeah, that maybe some of the fever dream is wearing off for Toto on Antonelli. And it's interesting. They also said too, Wolf admitted it, and he said, I wonder if I scared him too much from that Monza crash afterwards, because on the radio, he was like, it's all good. But apparently in the driver's briefing behind the scenes, Toto was like, oh, you can't keep doing that. And he's worried that conversation has stunted his development.
Yeah.
Crashes were good again for a brief second, but just not behind the scenes.
I mean, you got to realize that these cars are extremely expensive pieces of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you put a young driver in a car, you expect them to damage it. But at the end of the day, it's still not okay to lose, $14 million crashing a car. So there's always going to be a little bit of pressure when you do something like that.
Well, it's not helping him right now, unfortunately.
Nope.
Not at all.
It wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's really it for bads this weekend. I got nothing else.
I mean, Haas was shit. They had nothing.
Alpine, same thing.
Yeah.
But they will all have these weekends. Yeah, we could talk about that all till we're blue in the face, but can maybe give an honorable mention to Ferrari, just once again, just being non-existent.
I mean, Leclerc was there. He put up some good fights, but then ultimately fell back, and that was the end of it.
Yeah. It seems like a lot's building up in F1 right now, and we're about to see a lot of big changes. I feel like something's coming because there's a lot of
new regulation set, so we'll see what happens. But
I'm saying we're building up to like a big climax for the end of this year for like all the teams, except Alpine, which has decided it's just going to be limp the rest of the year. But I can see all other 9 teams having like an explosive moment in the next 8 races. Something's coming.
I mean, Abu Dhabi is going to be something. Because in theory, let's just say that the McLarens take each other out, vying for who's going to win the Drivers' Championship. So that takes out the 2 at the top. Then you have Ferrari, Mercedes. Okay, they're still too far apart, really, at the moment to say. But then into the midfield, from Williams down to Sauber, are all very close in points. So I say come Abu Dhabi, if we're seeing the general inconsistency that we've seen, we could have a 4-way fight for 5th place.
Between Williams, Aston Martin, Sauber, and Racing Bulls.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm also writing off Haas and Alpine.
I don't stand a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also the long shot, and I think you and I kind of put that to bed in the first part of this recap, but there's the long shot that if the McLarens just keep having lackluster performances, or like you say, they take each other out a few races, there is an outside chance that Max Verstappen can steal this title, a la Kimi Räikkönen in 2007. Very unlikely. But that's what I would love to see out of all this. McLaren's been acting like they already won both, and something like this could still technically happen.
Yeah. No, it would need to be multiple races. So Max would need to win, and both McLarens would need to be well down in the points, if not out of the points, for that to happen.
It's highly unlikely.
But there is a chance that it could happen.
It's always a chance. If Max and Red Bull have figured something out, 8 races in a row is something they've done before. Stay tuned, everybody.
And we have 3 city tracks coming up. The next 2 are city tracks. And then we have Vegas. So those always tend to breed a little more chaos, especially these ones. Baku, Singapore, and Vegas. Mixed in with some of the higher speed, more traditional tracks. So it should be an interesting end to the season.
Coda, Sao Paulo. There's some Max Verstappen races there.
Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Stay tuned, everybody. And on that note, that wraps up our Monza Grand Prix recap. We'll be back after Baku. Say goodnight, Sean.
Good night, everyone.